Yes, 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 yes. We are so excited to talk today. So many sounds. How do we get rid of this? Thank you. Wow. August 19th. I'm Jeremy Wolf, former MLB draft pick, and we have a lot to talk about today. The Bus family fights the Lakers sale. We'll see the details there. We'll see if they'll sell their shares. We'll see if they'll try to hold on as Bob Iger and Josh Kushner swoop it up. We'll see. The richest family in basketball is at war with itself, and the controlling owner of the Lakers might get cashed out and fired in the same signature. The league says there's no evidence the Clippers funneled money to Kawhi, and the league is also mad at the people who reported it. If you have been living under a rock, you know that there has been reporting about whether or not other things and companies and entities were funneling money to Kawhi in order for the Clippers to circumvent the salary cap. Any details there? However, I wasn't there. I don't know. I didn't do the reporting. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know. If the NBA says that there's nothing, is there nothing? It has looked bad for a long time, and so we'll dive a little bit deeper into the report. We'll see what it says. 5 schools just found out what the exit door actually costs. Luke Kuechly is somehow the most fought over man in football TV right now. Nielsen finally put a number on which cities actually care. And a Division 2 school. 2. I was Division 3. So I feel for these D2 kids. Signed a patch deal the rule book does not allow yet. Then a close about the thing underneath all of it. And my guest today, good friend J.R. Butler, who turns former athletes into closers, into sellers in tech careers, which is amazing. When you're done playing and you're like, man, what do I do now? And you got a guy like JR in your corner, that is confidence. That is great. But first, a quick hits. A month after ESPN let him go with a year left on his NFL Network deal, Tom Pelissero lands a Netflix deal as a sideline reporter and insider, starting with the Rams 49ers opener in Melbourne. The layoff was the best raise he ever got. Netflix is swooping up at Tom Pelissero. Netflix is now a player in the NFL in 2020, the year of our share, 2026. Crazy, but good for him. Prime Video grabs James Palmer. Amazon reportedly lands James Palmer as its Thursday Night Football insider, replacing Ian Rappaport. The insider chair is a transfer market of its own. It's the hardest job in sports. Being a quarterback, whatever. Hitting a fastball, who cares? Being an NFL insider like Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter or baseball Ken Rosenthal, friend of the show. Tough. Female athlete NIL up 123%. Learfield says female athlete participation in NIL activity jumped 123% this year from 2,136 to 4,772, with 22 national brands buying in. The demand was always there. Somebody built the on-ramp for athletes to get paid. I am curious, what led to this? What led to 123 jump? And when it was denied by whatever governing body is denying certain NIL activities, why? I need more. McAfee's album belly flops. Pat McAfee dropped his debut album, The Diary of a Polarizing Figure, and per awful announcing, the reception has not been kind. I mean, yeah. No one's looking back on Shaq's career going, man, Kazam was sick. Guy wants to do what a guy wants to do, and if he's going to get roasted online, fine. He's worth millions of dollars. And if you put something out that I can make fun of, I might make fun of it. But if you put something out that you really care about and you're really passionate about, I'm gonna respect that. So I respect the hustle. Some people are not respecting the execution, and we're not talking about the execution. I'm respecting the hustle. SEC Network moves Marty and McGee to noon and expands SEC Nation to 3 hours. I think I saw Marty Smith doing the show live from headphones on a laptop in a coffee shop. Is that it? That's what ESPN's putting on the air? Fine, he's not in the studio. He's more authentic. He could be at home. I'm at home. But I don't know. ESPN, why aren't you calling? Because the production value of this show is way better than Marty Smith sitting in a coffee shop. I could be wrong. He could have been somewhere else. Could have been in a studio with a background, but he wasn't. Coffee shop. Okay? If that's what we're putting on air, give me a call. This show presented by Athletes Fund. Athletes Fund is a dream of mine. I want to be able to help athletes who are starting businesses actually like have the ability to start that business. I wanted something like this. I wanted athletes to support me. I wanted a community of athletes to support me. I want to raise money with athletes to divest back into and deploy into companies in sports and athletes who are starting companies. That's what Athletes Fund is, and that's what it does, and that's why it exists. And I love it. I love that I get to think about that. The Buss family, former owners of the Lakers, is at war over the Lakers' sale. Soap opera with a balance sheet. I can't believe I wrote that. 2 months ago, the Lakers sold. 2 months ago. A little less. Lakers sold at a record $12.5 billion valuation. Bob Iger, Joshua Kushner buying control from Mark Walter. That was the headline. The follow-up is pretty much the real story. The rest of the Buss family, Jeannie's siblings, voted to sell the family's remaining stake, 17.8% of it. And Jeannie, the controlling owner, does not want to sell. Per ESPN's Charania, the siblings decided by majority vote to sell the remaining 17.8% of the $12.5 billion valuation. Jeannie's lawyer, Adam Streisand, says she has not agreed and accused 2 siblings of leaking. Tuesday, 5 siblings said they are united in selling. NBA rules require a controlling owner to hold at least 15%, so a full sale costs Jeannie her governor's seat. Jeannie could get cashed out and removed from power in the same transaction. The check clears and the chair disappears, and why the hurry? Her huddle up buyer Mark Walter is under federal investigation tied to related party transactions at his insurance companies and reportedly needs cash before year end. Walter's up in charge. Whatever. We'll see what happens. But it explains the urgency. Here's why you should care. The richest sports family on earth. Well, maybe Jerry Jones's family, because the Cowboys are worth more. But it depends on how much they own it. I think they own either all or a majority of it. On earth is living. That control and ownership are 2 different things. The check clears and the chair disappears. That's the difference between owning a piece and owning control. Either she'll I have no commentary here. I have no analysis here. She might keep a piece and stick around. She might sell a piece. That's not whatever. It's whatever. She's not going to control the team anymore. So, that's fine. Good on her. Fight it till the death if you can, Jeannie. But a new train's coming to town. Okay, we got to talk about the Kawhi stuff. If you've been living under a rock, ESPN reported Monday, the NBA has found no evidence that Clippers owner Steve Ballmer funneled money to Kawhi through different team sponsors and relationships and whatever. which is interesting. But there was always a little bit of smoke for the probe, which is paid for by the Clippers. Wachtell and Lipton, to be technical, found nothing. You have to trust, right, that it is nothing? Right? Right? If you're Adam Silver, do you hide anything? I don't know. To save the integrity of the league? I don't know. I'm just thinking, right? What would the league want? Obviously, nothing to happen to Kawhi. Obviously, the Kawhi to go back to Toronto or whatever. ESPN says the probe, though, narrowed to a different question, whether the team's sponsor introductions broke the rules. That's nothing, though. The NBA found no evidence Ballmer funneled money to Leonard via aspiration, via Daktronics, via Rhode Island Football Club. The probe centers on an alleged 4-year, $28 million no-show endorsement deal with Aspiration, a now-defunct green banking firm. ESPN reports Ballmer personally invested $50 million in Aspiration. The Clippers separately struck a $300 million partnership. The NBA disputes the story has numerous and significant inaccuracies. The problem, the reporting holds, was that never that Kawhi got paid. It's the structure. A no-show deal is the kind of paperwork that draws eyeballs. When the deal is clean, the paperwork and everything around it is boring. He just got paid by Aspiration for nothing. And the math, according to Pablo Torre and others, lined up. But if the NBA found nothing, athletes don't get in trouble for getting paid. They get in trouble for how deals are built. So should a no-show endorsement deal be legal in a cap league? You tell me. Go listen to all 14 parts of Pablo Torre's investigation on whether or not Kawhi Leonard, who is accused of circumventing the salary cap in a vast web of conspiracy with the Los Angeles Clippers, involving multiple parties and hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's very convincing. It's very convincing. There's good reporting done on all sides, more than just Pablo Torre, okay? Where there's smoke doesn't always necessarily mean there's fire, and in this case, there was no fire. According to ESPN, according to Wachtell Lipton, paid for by the Clippers, that's how these deals work, there was nothing. Did Lee Harvey Oswald act alone? I don't know. Okay? Same thing, kinda. Same. In my head. I'm excited to see how Pablo Torre rebuts this. What else comes forward, or who starts talking, or what. But maybe the saga's over. Maybe the saga's over. So who knows? The show presented by Esther Health. Esther Health. Your thesis advocate when the healthcare gets hard. Why does Esther Health exist? Because navigating healthcare and health insurance by yourself sucks. You get an advocate that helps you fight claims, helps you navigate IVF, that helps you fight bills when you have cancer. And who pays for it? Self-funded insurance plans and others. We'll find a way to get others to participate. See what I'm saying? Things suck out there. Esther Health is built because things need to suck less and humans need to be involved in the sucking of it less. So, EstherHealth.co. Very passionate about this one. All right, Mountain West. Mountain West, one of my favorite conferences. Mountain West, $49 million breakup bill. Realignment in college sports has been fascinating. So you're telling me ASU's in the Big Ten? If ASU's in the Big Ten, then why do conferences exist anyway? Why don't we just call it South or West, North? We could call it the Big Ten, but the Pac-12 has like 4 people in it. Realignment is musical chairs, and 5 schools got the bill. Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Utah State, Utah State leave the Mountain West for the rebuilt Pac-12, and the exit fee settlement is now public. Per Sportico, the 5 schools will pay the Mountain West Conference a total of $49 million, roughly half of what the conference first tried to collect. The Mountain West Conference will hold $9.8 million from each school's final distributions. The Pac-12 separately faced a $55 million termination fee claim from a 2024 scheduling alliance. The freedom to leave costs about $10 million a school, quietly deducting money from what they were already owed. So nobody writes a check to reimburse. So why care? The rules that matter aren't the banner. They're in the exit clause. Everybody reads the offer letter. Nobody reads what it costs to leave, or they did and they don't care because they're making so much money, or they're going to make so much money by the fact that they're going to leave. The exit clause is maybe how Mountain West Conference is going to make the most money that they're going to make, and then by doing that, if you can consider it make or holding distributions, $49 million of which NBA, oh, that was the Kawhi thing. Mountain West, 5 schools departing, agree to $49 million settlement. 5 schools leaving the Mountain West Conference for the Pac-12 have agreed to pay their former league $49 million, according to a settlement obtained by Sportico. The amount is roughly half of what the Mountain West originally sought to collect in exit fees, penalties, in Boise State. The league's expected penalties were reported to be $19 to $38 million. Mountain West had previously withheld $46.9 million, which it accounted for as membership exit fees revenue in full year 2025 tax return. The settlement resolves the litigation the schools filed in Colorado against the Mountain West and its commissioner, Gloria Nevarez. Utah State, Colorado State filed the initial action in December 2024. In August 2025, Boise State joined in an amended complaint that added a claim of fraud against both Mountain West and Nevarez. The complaint was amended again in January when California State University's Board of Trustees, which oversees San Diego State and Fresno State, joined as an additional plaintiff. Under the settlement, Mountain West will deduct and withhold $9.8 million owed to each of the 5 schools from league distributions. Big money. Financial terms of Pac-12 Mountain West accord have not been publicly disclosed. The 2 conferences announced that they had reached an agreement in principle in May before reaching a final agreement earlier this month. Okie dokie. Pac-12 Mountain West Conference have finalized a settlement over poaching. That's the word I was looking for. They poached. Oh, we got to talk about the this league soon. The Professional Softball League. I love it. Maybe we'll have somebody on. We might have somebody on from the Women's Professional Baseball League soon. That's exciting. That's fun. I want to talk about what they're doing and the headwinds that they might have faced in building out a Women's Professional Baseball League. We love and support women's sports here. Thank you. God, good stuff, Jar. Really good stuff. It's early. Everyone wants Luke Kuechly. Netflix, CBS, Manning. Fun one about a guy who wasn't even trying. Luke Kuechly retired at 28 years old. Scouted for the Panthers about a year. Quit for his fall week. What the fuck did I write? Luke Kuechly retired at 28. Full stop. He walked away from the spotlight. Now he's 35, and he's the most fought over analyst in football. That's a guy I would pay a lot of money. Now that Tony Romo's not there, could he do play-by-play? Maybe not, but I want breakdown. I want him to do breakdown stuff. Whoa. That's good. A defense guy like him, amazing. Per The Athletic, Kuechly joins Peyton Manning on The Breakdown, ESPN's Monday night companion show, debuting on the ESPN app in October. Netflix built its top NFL team around him with Noah Eagle. debuting September 10th for Melbourne Rams versus Niners. CBS also added him in a game analyst role after the Romo shakeup. He's expected to keep his Panthers radio job as well. He didn't lobby. One shot on an ESPN altcast last December diagnosed a pick six before the ball left QB's hand. That's the kicker. That's what these organizations want to put on air. Somebody who is so intricate with how he understands the game. The industry was like, Tony Romo. That's what Tony Romo did. The tape did the selling. Lesson isn't become a broadcaster. It's that Kuechly built an asset during his career, a way of seeing the game differently. That outlived his contract in his NFL career. The camera pays after the pad stop. The thing that he wants to do now, after 7 years out of the game, is to talk about football live on air and using his experience. I know people who have done it, and some are good, and some could use the work, and some were at the level of Luke Kuechly, and some weren't in terms of athletic ability, but their ability to diagnose things because they see it differently. All of these different organizations are going to pay him a lot of money to swoop him up because people will tune in for the football, but they're going to stay for how different it is. So we said, Tony Romo is going to do it. Greg Olsen is at that level. But the next media star is Luke Kuechly, and good for him. Everyone wants a piece of Luke Kuechly. When Luke Kuechly walked away from the NFL at 28 years old, the prevailing assumption was that he'd take his encyclopedic football knowledge with him. But and be well on his way to becoming the defensive boy genius of Tony Romo. The comps, the comparisons. But Kuechly craved a life still embedded in football, and that meant a job with the Panthers front office as a pro scout. That seems fun, right? But maybe he was a little bored. Kuechly lasted roughly a season before resigning in the spring of 2021, later explaining that he simply wanted to reclaim his fall weekends back for hunting and fishing and for his family, rather than to surrender another season buried in cut-ups and advance reports. For a while afterward, broadcasting looked far from imminent. He wasn't pursuing it, and no network seemed especially eager to pursue him either. Fast forward to now, Luke Kuechly is somehow the most sought-after analyst in football media. He is a man of the time. He's a man of now. People are only hot and sought after in very small windows. For a while, it was Pat McAfee, right? For a while, it was, Tony Romo's coming into the booth. Okay? You only get a small window to be sought after, especially at this level. Maybe Kuechly felt now is the time to do that and not wait another 10 years. The latest domino fell on Monday when the Athletic's Andrew Marchand reported that Kuechly will join Peyton Manning for The Breakdown, ESPN's Monday night companion show that lives on the ESPN app. Manning originated it with Bill Belichick 2 seasons ago. That's the whole thing. A cerebral Friday lead-in to his looser Manning cast with his brother Eli. When Belichick departed for North Carolina's head coaching job, the show went dark for a full year rather than limp along with a diminished format. Manning's Omaha Productions was reportedly meticulous about the replacement, unwilling to install a placeholder in a chair that particularly was hard to fill. And Kuechly evidently is the man they judged worthy enough for that. I wonder how much money he's being paid. If he's doing all this, Troy Aikens making something, $15 million. Tony Romo is making $17 million a game. Oh, excuse me, $1 million a game, maybe $17, $18 million a year, plus incentives and bonus. What's Kuechly making? A couple mil? He should. He's hot, man. He could charge whatever he wants, maybe. On all these different networks. I think he should just be doing the rounds on podcasts. I think he should be doing the show on air. I think he should be that guy. I think he should establish himself as that guy long term. Cash in for a couple years, go back to doing his thing. Maybe find an opportunity to be sought after again, or wait until one of the biggest like announcing deals, like chairs opens up. Maybe the Tom Brady chair. Maybe the Greg Olson chair. All right, top of the hour. We're about to bring in J.R. Butler. As he joins. But for Luke Kuechly, something worth noting, obviously, is how much money he could be paid. Tom Brady is making less than Tony Romo. For Luke Kuechly to be Defensive Player of the Year multiple times, retire at 28 years old, 7 years later, have this resurgence, goes to show how important it is to like be an expert in the thing that you are doing, to be an expert in how you're doing it. And for an athlete, it might be like for me, for example. I'm not at the level of Luke Kuechly. I never was as an athlete. But what skills can I hone over years and years and years that can make it enticing for me to participate in something at that level? What if I did this long enough and well enough, still learning, to where I get to participate in something at that level? That might be my goal for doing all of this. My goal is really to have conversations like J.R. Butler, because that is the most fun part. I'm drinking because I got to scratch my throat. See, we're live. See, that's what happens when you're live. But for Luke Kuechly to be so sought after, so far after his career, it's because he's doing something right. He's a personality that the NFL is going to draw eyeballs. It's going to bring people in. But the things around these games, the better you make them, the more opportunity you have for people to stick around and just provide a better product. Because you can say, take everybody who's doing, let's take all of the announcing crews. Oh, we have JR. See, we love live because that's what happens. Hey, bud.
What's up, dude?
We are live. We have our guest. I told you. Yeah, we pop people right in.
Dude. All right. I'm glad I got my shit together before then.
That's the thing, man. That's what makes this show fun and interesting, is we just say, you're good. We got this. What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Having a big day for me today, as I mentioned when you offered this date. A little bit emotional this morning, but it's obviously a happy day, so I'm enjoying it.
I'm proud of you. It's an honor to know you. Congratulations on it.
Thank you.
I would love for you to share a little bit about, like, what is Shift Group? Why does J.R. Butler do Shift Group, and who is he?
Yeah, actually today's anniversary has a lot to do with why I started the company. And for people being like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Today is 14 years sober for me. And the reason it's a little more emotional for me today is we lost my mom in the fall. So this is my first sobriety anniversary without her. And she's usually the first person that texts me. But kind of taking a step back, Shift Group, at high level, we help retiring athletes and military veterans transition to corporate roles. The reason I started the company is because of my own struggle in the transition. I grew up in central Massachusetts. My father is a Hall of Fame high school and junior hockey coach. I'm the oldest of three boys. We all played college hockey. So, I really did grow up in a hockey locker room. It was a huge part of who I was. It kind of guided every decision I made for about 24 years. When people ask me who I was, it was pretty easy to answer that question. I'm a hockey player. It defined my goals, defined how I spent my time. It gave me a lot. And then literally I woke up one day and it was gone. Like not unlike losing a loved one that's in your life every single day. And I didn't, like many people, I didn't have any tools to deal with that. I didn't, the system itself wasn't structured to prepare you for it. And for about 4 or 5 years, I really, really struggled. It led me, I was always a drinker, but I always had practice and games. So like, I might get blacked out on a Saturday night, but it was one night a week, and then hockey was gone. I started drinking a lot more. I got into some hard drugs, partially because I think it was in my nature to begin with, coming from a kind of a family of it. But also, dealing with that loss of identity, that loss of purpose, that loss, candidly, dude, of like feeling like an elite person, right? Like feeling like I woke up every day with a goal and a purpose to do something and a reason to be disciplined and a reason to kind of move forward through and do really hard shit. And then it was gone and I struggled. And like I said, it took me 4 or 5 years to get my shit together, to get some mentors to slap me across the face. And really, dude, it explained to me, like, listen, what the thing that got you into a Division I locker room, JR, will get you into a boardroom if that's what you want. You just have to do the work. And I did the work. I ended up having a great 15-year, 16-year career in the technology industry as a salesperson, and then mostly as a sales leader. Was part of a company build here in Boston from a Series A to a $2 billion acquisition. Was a chief revenue officer out in Scottsdale, which is where we met, Jeremy. And then I started Shift Group 4.5 years ago. And the second person I started the company for, first is JR at 24. Second is JR at 34, when I was trying to build a sales organization and, an executive and make hiring decisions. And I absolutely have always hated the traditional approach of like, hey, let's post a job. Let's get hundreds, if not thousands of resumes. Yeah. Let's look through these pieces of paper to decide which humans we want to spend time with. And then let's spend like 90 minutes with them over 2 weeks. And then let's make the biggest fucking bet we make as business leaders and hire them, and an entry-level job, even at $50,000, $60,000 base salary and some commission, is still $150,000 to $200,000 bet when you talk about benefits, equity, the amount of training and development that's going to go into those people from much higher paid resources like a CRO, like a VP of sales, like any VP level. And when you look at the attrition rate of entry-level jobs, it's, in sales, it's 40%. In other roles, it's 25 to 30. So obviously it's not working, right? And, that is the guy that I built Shift Group for as well, right? Like giving them something to use that is much better than a piece of paper to decide if somebody would be a good fit in their organization. Like I said, we've been around 4.5 years, Jeremy. We've placed over 3,000 athletes and veterans at 750 companies. We met in the very, very early days. Yeah, and it's been quite the ride. I got EY Entrepreneur of the Year finalist. We made the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing company list this year. We're certainly in a down cycle from a market perspective, and coming out of the summers are always brutal, even when we're ripping. But I'm still just as excited and just as bullish at the opportunity we have ahead. And the best part of my job, which is why I love what you're doing, Jeremy, is meeting these men and women who don't realize how much they bring to the table and helping them communicate that, apply the mindset and the discipline they had as athletes and veterans to their careers, and see them be wildly successful. It's the best part of my job. And the fact that I get paid to do it instead of, this being a charity or something like that it's pretty awesome. The combination of mission and margin is unique, and I'm very, very lucky. And I'm psyched to talk to you more about it today, brother.
Open Athletes exists in large part due to the model that you have built with Shift Group. Athletes, while they're playing, have a very small window to be sought after.
Yes.
So in our perspective, how can we help somebody be an athlete and start a business, or think about starting a business, or building their network to set them up for success when they're done with their career? The transition out of playing is the most, as you faced and as I faced, the most critical and crucial experience that you're going to have as part of your entire athletic career. It's
Amen.
so hard. It's almost impossible to just say, I'm done and now I'm going to do this. Very rarely do you hear any professional athlete, any college athlete say, I'm like ready to do this. I'm excited to do this. It's usually most of the time their career is taken from them too quickly and they're left out of balance. And so Shift Group exists because you bring that balance back and give them an opportunity to step into something in a period in their life where they're not prepared to do that.
Yeah.
Open Athletes exists because maybe there's something about the thing that they are doing and a problem that they want to solve long term. And can we turn solving that problem into something that can be sustaining for them? We're the Shift Group of starting a business.
I love it. I love it.
And so the success that you have had was motivating to me to say, I think there's an avenue to helping somebody start a business. And if they can't do it long term, or if the community that we build is just like, hey, that's not the right idea, can you pivot? Can you move? Or if someone's like, I'm not an entrepreneur, I'd love to find a job, having a Shift Group there, or vice versa, that is why like having as many of us in the marketplace of things and ideas is the best, because an athlete now has opportunities that they wouldn't have had otherwise.
I agree. And by the way, I think, starting a business and failing is one of the best things that you can do in life. Like, there's no job, there's no experience that you're going to learn more than trying to do that and failing. So I think it's amazing. I think it's awesome what you guys are doing. That's why, as you know, I'm a huge supporter and excited to help any way that I can with the folks that are in your community.
So how have you seen the types of athletes over the last, we'll say in your career, right? You've met athletes, you've worked with athletes before, you've been an athlete. Over the last 10, 15 years, how have you seen the type of athlete leaving their sport change in the type of personality or how ready they are for work? And then over the last 4 years, has that changed at all? Or is it just the constant progression of sort of a trend that you might have been seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I don't think the person who does it successfully, like, I don't think that profile has really changed, right? I think what it comes down to, the people who do it well and are successful in the transition, they do the work to reset, in my opinion, three things that actually made them really elite as athletes. The number one thing that the people that do well in it do is they get really, really clear on what's important to them and what they want their life to look like. And like, this is short-term cycles, because that's just the way careers work. Like, where do I want to be in 3 to 5 years? It's actually very similar to sports, right? Like, when you're in high school, you picture yourself as a college athlete. When you're a college athlete, you picture yourself as a professional athlete, and you work your fucking bag off to get there. And the people who do that, have the conversations, expose themselves to what's possible in those first 5 years and what aligns with what they care about. Now, I'm not talking about specific industries, specific job titles. I'm not really, what it is like, what do I want my life to look like? Where do I want to live? What do I want to be making, like, financially? What do I want my day-to-day look like? What's my flexibility? Like, the things that a career affords you versus the career itself. Because where I see people fail, and this hasn't changed either, is they get advice about following their passion, right? We've all heard it, right? Follow your passion. We see it at graduation speeches and all these things. It is the worst advice that you can give to a young person, because I see it all the time, Jeremy, in our program. Probably for every 100 athletes that go through our program, I would say about 10% are folks that followed their passion. They went into teaching. A lot of them went into sports. They stayed in sports because that's their passion. And listen, my passion's still hockey. I fucking love hockey. But, what they haven't done is they haven't been thoughtful and realized, like, yeah, we see it very commonly in football. I want to work in football, and they go be football coaches. But what they really care about is earning potential and flexibility, right? And I'll tell you two things you don't get as a 24-year-old in the sports industry. You don't make shit, and you work like 60 to 80 hours a week, because the sports industry itself knows that I don't have to pay this person a lot of money because they're doing this because they love it, right? And you have to decide, the people who fail don't do the work to decide, like, is working in football more important to me than these criteria, right? And the people who do well focus on the criteria and then work backwards to the potential industries, the potential jobs, those types of things. And like, I'm a good example of that. I was a sociology major with a minor in art history and sign language. I entered the job market in June 2008, like a week after the U.S. lost like $1.2 trillion in GDP. And I wanted to go to law school because I thought, like, that's what lawyers make a lot of money, right? All I cared about, this is very normal and it's okay. Like, all I cared about was making a lot of money. I didn't come from a lot. I went to a couple schools that I was surrounded by a lot of wealth. I saw what financial freedom gets you and the things that you can enjoy when you make money. So that was my purpose. That's what drove me. But I didn't really appreciate that. And when I started the law school process, I had somebody that I had met who was like, JR, how much student loan debt do you have right now? I was like $110,000. He's like, okay, so you're gonna go study for the LSAT in Florida. You're probably gonna do well because you're a smart kid. You're gonna get into law school. You're not gonna get a scholarship because that's not a thing. And you're gonna pile on like another 6 figures in debt. Then you're gonna be an associate for 8 years. And then when you're a partner in your 30s, you can start making money and paying more than the interest off on your student loans. And I remember I was sitting at a bar in my hometown and I was like, he saw in my face, like he just killed my puppy. I was like, well, I never really thought of it that way. He's like, I know you didn't, but that's how it's going to be. And this guy happened to be the CEO of a tech company in my hometown. And he's like, listen, I want you to come work for me for a week. And if you like it, and if you do well and you listen to me, and you stick around, I promise you within 3 years, you'll be making $300,000 a year. And I remember I told him, I'm like, his name's Jamie. I'm like, Jamie, I've never owned a computer because I didn't, right? It's 2008. It was like, you could use the computer labs at college to write my sociology papers. And these guys sold like very complex technology to like the biggest companies in the world. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this, but I went, I tried it. My third day, I went into his office. I'm like, I'm in. I'd met all the other people that I'd be working with. They were all people I looked up to and admired just from meeting them quickly. And instead of making the decision based off my passion, I made it off my criteria and made an 18-year career out of it, made a bunch of money. And like, guess what? It became my passion, right? Because it gave me what I wanted. And I don't think that is ever going to change. That being said, you asked, like, what about the last 4 years? I would actually argue even prior to NIL, I started to see a little bit of a change. And I think what's driving it is mainly social media. NIL is certainly not helping, but we're getting more and more folks that are less prepared for reality than ever before. Like you and I, Jeremy, we entered the job market with the complete understanding that we're going to eat shit for a couple of years and earn our way to be a high earner.
I was already 25.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't 22. I was 25 or 26.
Exactly. And I was too, because I'm a hockey player. So that's a little different. But the point being, dude, I'll give you a real life example. This just happened. We run group calls as folks sign up for a program. They can join these calls, and my team, we get to meet them. And I always like to ask the folks, like, hey, what's your expectation from like a salary perspective? And on Monday, this kid, came on and he was like, I don't know, like I would say like $200,000 to $250,000. And I was like, you just got back from playing professional basketball in Europe. Have you done some like corporate experience that I don't know about? And he's like, that's not on your resume or your LinkedIn. He's like, no. I'm like, why do you think you're going to make $250,000? He's like, well, I made $450,000 my senior year. And then I've been making about $250 to $300 over in Europe playing basketball. And by the way, this kid is 26 years old. He's been through college. He has parents. He has friends who have parents and teammates who have parents. Nobody else has sat this person down and said, listen, you made $450,000 your senior year because you're 6'8". You probably have like a 4-foot vertical and you can run up and down the basketball court in like milliseconds. Is that fair? He's like, yeah. I'm like, guess how much value that is for a company? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do you think a company would value that at? And he had no idea. I was like, $0. I'm like, you know, similar major to me, like clearly has all the right intangibles. And if he learns how to tell his story and he gets bought into a career and he can explain why he's bought into a potential role, he's going to be really successful. But the delusion factor has risen significantly with young people in general. And we're seeing it with athletes for sure in a way that I've never seen it. And, you know, old people will say like they're entitled and things like that. And listen, like if a kid comes out and they're entitled and they're delusional, that's not the kid's fault. They're 23, 24 years old. That is the adults that have been around them the last, 8 years of their life, not telling them the truth. And the adults themselves aren't incentivized to tell them the truth. What's a college going to say? Like, we're going to give you a $160,000 scholarship, a free education, and you should come to our school because it's going to lead to you being really successful in your career and making six figures. Of course, the school's going to say that, but that's not true, dude. Right? And I think with social media, they're hearing what they want to hear because that's how algorithms work. And they're seeing their peers, people their age, in beautiful cars, taking private jets on these wonderful vacations. And what they don't appreciate is that's like not guaranteed. And that even the person who does that earned it. They earned it in their way, being a content creator or whatever. But there's only so much room on social media for content creators. And in the real world, you get paid according to the business value you bring. And when you're 25, 24, 25 years old with no business experience, you bring no value other than what you're willing to grow into and work for. Yeah. And that's been the biggest change that I've seen over the last 4 to 8 years.
When these kids, they're still kids, have no work experience, making hundreds of thousands of dollars in NIL, know that that's not lasting or sustaining, have hopefully potentially overspent the money that they're given.
Yeah.
Maybe their agent or whoever has taken advantage of the fact that there's a huge windfall coming for a particular type of athlete.
Yep. There's
that gap, right? They're done at 22, or they're done at 26, or they're done at 38, or they're done at 28, or they're had a really amazing career and they're done at 32.
Yeah.
And if you have nothing on your resume to show for it for 10 years, that confidence that you have in yourself is, wow, I was a Major League Baseball player, I was a minor league baseball player for 10 years, and now I'm doing nothing. I have nothing to show for it other than whatever I have in the bank, if there's anything left at all. Yeah. You mentioned that your big break was because you were sitting with a CEO of a company that ended up hiring you.
Yes.
And what these athletes have is an opportunity to create their network and have that conversation with somebody, or to be introduced at a level that can't see the value in them.
100%.
How would you teach the athletes that we have that are listening, or the business leaders that we have that are listening and that read our newsletter, which I'll subscribe you to?
I'm on it.
How do athletes create that opportunity for themselves to be in the same room as decision makers that can find what they can be leveraged in?
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's an old saying, but it doesn't mean it's not true. It's not work, it's network. Like, you just have to go out while you're in uniform, while you have that brand equity,
yep,
and you need to meet as many fucking people as you can. And the way you need to approach those conversations, first and foremost, like it's actually like you almost need to become a salesperson for that time in uniform, in the sense that, like, all right, here's the things I'm curious about. Here's my criteria for what I think someday I want to do, right? Just like a BDR would be like, all right, here's the type of companies we want to target. They need to be in this industry, have this pain and this recent news. Like, you need to build that criteria. Then you need to go out and go, okay, who fits into the list that like from like an executive or like a professional business person, who fits into that criteria? Who's at organizations like that? Who's in careers like that? Who's in industries like that? And then you need to either reach out to the stranger and use your brand equity because they'll probably say yes,
Mm-hmm.
or use what you have, the college you went to, the sport that you play, your teammates, parents, and their connections. Like, obviously, as a sales professional, like, you need to leverage any way you can to get a stranger's attention. So use the hell out of those. Ask for 30 minutes. Hey, I'd love to meet with you. I'm interested in X, Y, and Z. This is why I reached out to you. It should be like 5 to 7 sentences, and they'll see who you are. They will meet with you because nobody does this.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go into that conversation, prepare. And dude, by the way, with AI now, like, you have no excuse not to be prepared and not to know everything you need to know, and have a list of questions that are open-ended. And then, like, my dad told me when I was like 16 years old, when he dropped me off to boarding school, he said, hey, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth, act accordingly. Like, everything that comes out of your mouth in those conversations should be a question. You don't need to impress people. They're already impressed by you. I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
That is a fact. You have to remember that what you're trying to do in those conversations is learn. And if anybody's ever read Dale Carnegie's book, like How to Win Friends and Influence People, the way that you get people to like you is by asking about those people, not by talking about yourself, right? So going in with some authentic curiosity and really just trying to learn. And then at the end, asking like, hey, this was awesome. I learned so much. Here's the follow-up. You have anyone else you think I should talk to? Turn that meeting into 3 meetings. And you can do that while you're a college athlete. I mean, college athletes tough. You're very busy schedule, but you can make time to do like 1 or 2 of those a month. When you're a professional athlete, as you know, Jeremy, like, you got a lot of fucking time, right? Like, my brother played 16 and a half years of pro hockey.
Mm-hmm.
When he was thinking about retiring, I remember sitting with him and he was asking me about business, and I was showing him my schedule.
Yeah.
You're going to laugh at this. And he goes, he's looking at my calendar and he's like, JR, when do you take a nap? And I was like, I'm like, Bob, I'm 36 years old, dude. I don't take a nap. And it was like, you know, he was horrified by that idea that like, oh, you're not allowed to take a nap when you're in the business world. I was like, no more naps, buddy. But the point there is like, professional athletes more than anybody have the time to do this. And I think they should be aiming for like at least 1 conversation a week, ideally more. You do that for a few years.
Yeah.
Like, the future is going to shape itself for you. You're going to figure it out. You're going to get really clear. You're going to have a network to activate whatever you decide you want to do. Like, that is like the biggest unlock that these folks have, whether that's starting a business, getting into an industry, whatever they want to do. If they do that, I guarantee they're going to be successful.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned like what a professional athlete did. So my wife and I watched Heated Rivalry. We all love it. Okay. And she goes, what's realistic from this? And I was like, obviously the kissing. But I really said to her, it's how boring it is between games. That's really what being a professional athlete is. I was never doing photo shoots or doing sponsorships or whatever, but like, you play the game and then you do nothing, and then you go to sleep, and then you wake up, and then you do nothing, and then you prepare for the game, and then you do it again, and you would do that for years. Yes. And she was like, oh, that actually, like, I get it now. I get why it's like this.
Yeah.
As when I started More Than Baseball, our viewers know.
Amazing.
I talk about it till I'm blue in the face. There's so many different perspectives to it. There's policy. There's the labor component. What's most interesting to me and where we connected was when you get done playing, that identity that you have is gone. And as we talk about what network can you build, you can build that network because you have access to that room. What Open Athletes is trying to do is saying, you're a current athlete or you're a former athlete, and you can create opportunities to build your own room, to get into rooms that you might not have had otherwise. And how do you do that? What do you say? What do you do? Is it following your passion? Do I want to build a product or build something that's following my passion? Well, what problem are you trying to solve?
Yes.
I tell our athletes, follow what you're good at.
Yes.
You have to, and the money will come. I'm good at insurance. My day job is health insurance. I'm very good at insurance. Is health insurance my passion? It has become something that interests me very much. And the work that I put in to be very good at my job, including this. Yeah. You can't see our live feed, but we have all these graphics and we got all these things and the sound effects and whatever. It's because that's what interests me and I'm good at this.
You are.
What skills have you seen these athletes come in with? We talked about creating a network. We talked about athletes might think they're overvalued. What trends are you seeing in the skills that athletes are coming in with that if they're a professional athlete watching now or they're a college athlete watching now that they should hone to get that job when they're done playing? Is it their voice? Is it being able to articulate? I'm sure it's a mixture of all of these things, but you work with these athletes and I'm sure there are things that you pick up where you're like, that could be improved. And where are these kids coming in very raw?
Yeah, I think in kind of three buckets. There's intangible characteristics that you develop in uniform. That's like the discipline, the competitiveness, the team first attitude. Like those aren't really skills. Those are things that get shaped through experience. Those are important, by the way. And that's why our company does really well. Like when somebody agrees to take a meeting with us, it's because they understand that, right? The second thing is mindset. And I kind of didn't finish my thought. The mindset, I talked about clarity of what you want. The other thing is clarity of self, and which is what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Starting when we're in sports, we live in a feedback loop, Jeremy, that we don't really appreciate. People call it structure, people call it whatever. At the end of the day, when you play baseball at the level you did and you suck at something, guess what you know very well? You know what you suck at because you either see the outcome or your leadership, your coach, your teammates, they tell you like, Jeremy, you need to learn how to hit a fucking curveball, dude. Like, this is not good.
Curveball bats are afraid.
Yes, exactly. So clarity of vision, clarity of self, and then clarity of the playbook, which is like, that's the skill side, right? And what I'm seeing right now from a skill perspective that I don't think these young people really appreciate is, dude, I'm 41, almost 42 years old. When the iPhone came out, I was like 22 years old, right? Like I had to learn it. I didn't grow up with it. And sometimes I feel like my wife's younger than me, and like I can't figure shit out on my phone. And we're not like, it's not 20-year difference. It's like a 7 or 8 year difference. Like she's better on the phone than I am just because of those 8 years. These folks are digitally native, and that is so critical for the future. And they have to lean into it because, and I'm sure you're seeing this in your industry, Jeremy, and people absolutely are like, they fall into two buckets. AI is going to change the world forever, or AI is just a hype cycle and whatever, it's going to go away. Guess what? The people in this bucket are very, very, very wrong, and they need to use it. And then they might have like the holy shit moment that I have like 10 times a day where I'm like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe it just did that. This is wild. So because of that, the way the professional world is changing, and I'm talking about the laptop class. I'm not talking about like construction, the trades, first responders. I'm talking about what you and I do and what, 100% of the corporate world looks like. If you do a lot of your job between a computer screen and a computer chair, your job is going to look different in like 2 years, not like 20 years. Like this shit is happening very fast. We're in the top of the first inning and it's getting better every single day. So there's going to be 3 things you get judged on. Your ability to critically think and have ideas. That's number one. That's a skill that's hard to practice, but like, I think young people have that and they have the ability to be creative and have good ideas and critically think. The second thing is your ability to communicate, which athletes should be really good at, especially team sport athletes. Your ability to be in a room and have the emotional intelligence to understand how someone else is feeling and understand what somebody else wants and give them guidance and communication so that it aligns with what they want and they do what you want them to do, right? So communication and everything that comes with communication, which really is your ability to influence other people. And that I would say that's both verbally and I think still written, like even though AI is scaring the shit out of me right now with like, I have it right. My follow-up emails, Jeremy, and I'm from Boston. I say brother a lot. It puts brother exactly where I would put brother. And I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy. But I think still like verbal and written communication is going to be really important. And then the third thing, and this is where they have a immense advantage. Young people have an immense advantage over the rest of the market, which is your ability to use technology. In this case, obviously AI. Like, if you know how to put on the Iron Man suit that exists now and is going to continue to get better and better, and use it to be stronger, smarter, and faster at what you do than your peers, especially the senior peers that you have, you're going to be an absolute weapon in whatever you decide to do. Like, and I think that bucket specifically is something they come in to our program already having the advantage of. I think the first two are things that you need to work on a little bit, but they're things that you can work on. But I think that's the future. That's how every intelligence and specialization, when it comes to information, fully commoditized. Nobody cares. Like, if you know how to use Excel, dude, sweet. Give me your Excel sheet. I'll make a better one in
That's right.
4 fucking minutes. Like, guaranteed. I did it yesterday to my COO, and he's like, how did you do this? And I was like, dude. And I showed him my prompt. I just talked to Claude for like, on the microphone for like 10 minutes, and then it produced it. And he's like, oh my God, I'm screwed.
I would say there's a fourth component to that too.
Yeah, let's hear it.
When everybody has access to all of these tools, it levels everybody up to be, instead of who can do this, it's now everybody can do this. The thing that can separate is taste.
Yes.
It's the ability to say, the thing that I can create is better for these reasons. The thing that I can see and adjust to, I can understand what looks good and what doesn't, because I understand taste and I know what can be better. I know what looks better. I know how to articulate that.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. And I bucket that into like critical thinking and ideas. And you know what I call it, Jeremy, is I call it like dissension, like going against the grain, right? Because when you think about the way AI is built, like general consensus along with intelligence is commoditized. So if you just agree with what everybody else agrees with, then okay. Yeah. So that's fine. But to your point, taste and disagreement and your ability to like go down the right path with those things, you're bang on 100%.
And I appreciate you being here. This has been a lot of fun. I know you wanted longer than 15 minutes, so I'm happy that we're able to go further. I think as like our audience watches this conversation, and we're going to keep it in our resourcing, like this is like having these conversations is really important because we can take so the things that we talk about in like sports, business, policy, labor, and actually like implement these things. Yeah. Not every athlete is going to want to start a business or knows how or can be in the room with us to like have those conversations to learn as part of like the cohorts that we build. Yeah. But what they're hearing a lot of the times is, okay, they're an athlete and they're valuable. And I think through a conversation like this or participating in these programs, you can see where that value is. Yep. What they're also hearing is that it's the worst time ever to be young and looking for a job. And AI is taking all of the entry-level jobs. But you're someone who sits in between this. You're someone who works with young people trying to get work, like serious work, like career work. Yep. And you're working with these companies that are trying to find people who have a leg up from the competition, the competition of other participants. Totally. What are you seeing from companies as it pertains to how they're hiring? Yeah. Is it as doomer as it seems about entry-level jobs? Is there a component to that, or is it something different?
No, I think it's legit. I think, I mean, we see, so we obviously being around for the length of time we have a lot of loyal customers. And these are not small companies, either like venture-backed or private equity-owned technology companies that have been growing over the last 4.5 years. And what we're seeing is the company that consistently hired 15 people from us every quarter is hiring 3 to 5. And when I have the conversation with the executive and I ask why, what is this, the economy? You guys are still ripping. I see the numbers. What's going on? And they're like, well, JR, the job that used to take 40 hours a week only takes 15 hours a week. So I don't need 15 people to do it. I need 5 people to do it or 3 people to do it. So I do think the reality, and it's a hard thing to hear, the reality is in certain professions, there are going to be less opportunity in those professions. Like any technology, like the internet and computers and everything, it's going to create new opportunities too. But I think this is a weird technology in the sense that like it's not it's not gonna balance out. You know what I'm saying? Like I think there's gonna be a gap from like where we were 2 years ago and going into the future. And I'm talking specifically about corporate laptop class roles, right? I think there's gonna be a lot of other opportunity outside of that. We don't play in that space though. What they're looking for is the intangibles, right? Super important because all the boomers think that this, like every generation before them, they think this generation's entitled and delusional, and they're testing more on the intangibles than I've ever seen.
Oh, I'm a millennial. I know.
Same,
I've been there.
same, same here. They are certainly like they have a higher bar when it comes to like again your ability to communicate. And every single company that we work with, 750 plus companies, is now testing in the interview process how you used AI in whether that was in college or your past role, and how you would apply AI based off what you know about the job description.
Oh, wow.
So that's the thing these folks have to prepare to be able to tell stories about why they're disciplined, why they're resilient, all the things that companies care about. And by being able to tell stories, they show that they can communicate, and then they have to have a good story around their AI usage and AI expertise. That's where we're headed.
If you were an athlete right now, 24 years old, playing professional sports, America or overseas, you're alone trying to seek NIL deals if you're in college. You're in this class of athletes that we know that we're very familiar with. We were these athletes. We didn't have the ability to like have NIL or use social media in that way, but what is the one thing that you hope they take away from a conversation with you or our conversation today?
Go talk to people
Yeah.
and ask questions. That's it. Just talk to people and ask questions. 100. That would be all. If I could go back, that's exactly what I would do, man. I would just go get meetings and have and ask questions to people. Because again, you got to get those first two things. You got to get clarity of vision and you got to get clarity of self. And then the way you're going to get clarity of the playbook to close the gap between where you are today and where you want to get to is by asking questions. Okay, now I've had 15 conversations. Now I know I want to do this. All right, now I got to go have 15 more conversations with people that have done this successfully and ask them how they got from here to there. And that's the playbook. And now you build your own playbook. Just go have conversations and ask questions. It's the only thing you should be doing.
And sometimes I'm preaching to maybe the choir, but I'm also like talking to specifically to the athlete that I was.
Yeah.
Is you don't have to ask for something. You can ask for the meeting or ask for the time. But the best relationships that I've built in my life are because I connected with them through my curiosity. The reason we connected was because I was running More Than Baseball, you were starting Shift Group, and there was an opportunity to like partner and coexist. And that is like the relationship building like in itself. Is because now we're 5 years later and we still have the ability to connect and communicate, and maybe there's an opportunity for me to help you or you to help me. Exactly. That's how like tangibly this could work. This is the playbook that I have set up for myself to continue these relationships and building this community that hopefully can help athletes in the same way that you're helping athletes. So that's my model.
Exactly. And last thing I'll say is like read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Like before you go into these conversations, it is really easy to get people to like you, dude. You just have to make it about them. That's it.
Yeah, they don't care about you. I mentioned before on the show, they care about what you can do for them.
Yes.
They care about the energy that you can give them, how different you are. You can get them to care about the thing that you can also care about. But just like when you're in uniform and you're signing an autograph, they care about the uniform. They don't care about the body that is holding the uniform. And 100%. You can separate yourself from being, like I was, hurt when my career ended because Jeremy was the baseball player that got injured, got released, had nothing to do, had nothing.
Yep.
The ability to understand that this is your job and that it's going to end, and the work that you can do to set yourself up for your career after, while it might seem harsh, shouldn't you focus 100% of your time and energy and your personhood on being a professional athlete? I would say the separation of that and learning how to separate yourself from the potential to be hurt or injured personally,
100%.
emotionally, it can
Yeah.
actually be helpful as you transition out of playing, because you say that part of my life is over and I've done the work to know what can set me up after, rather than being done and having done none of the preparation for that.
Yeah, 100%. I love it, dude. I love it.
See, 8:45, 11:45 for you. See, we're right on time. This show is tight. It's right on schedule all the
You're a
time.
stud. You're a stud.
This has been a tremendous amount of fun. Where can people find you if they're athletes that are interested in working with Shift Group? What does that process look like? How can they apply?
Yeah, find me on LinkedIn. That's really my only social media. And then for Shift Group, shiftgroup.io, just say you're a candidate, hit the button, and just run with it. And you'll get access directly to me.
Amazing. JR, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm so proud of the work that you are doing, that you have continued to do, and I'm excited for what's next for us.
All right, buddy. Thank
you, buddy. See ya.
Bye.
I think I have the best job in sports. Because created a space to have conversations about the things that are happening in sport, the value that sports brings, the value that sports provides. For audiences, it's entertainment. For an athlete that's listening, that's thinking about what's next, preparing for what's next, or even not, you can have fun, do things, try to make money with the leverage and opportunity that you have. Well, not thinking about what's next. You can think about it while thinking about what's now. So Open Athletes exists because you might want to start a business. We'll help you start that business. We'll help you file the LLC. We'll help you open the bank accounts. We'll help you do all of those things. JR says, prepare yourself for that inevitability that career is going to be over. We're not all going to be Luke Kuechly, where all of these organizations are going to come want us to be full-time announcers. Maybe there's a local channel near you that is looking for an announcer, or maybe you go do some ESPN Plus, whatever it might be. Maybe that's your passion. Sure, like follow that passion. But what we're saying is like very specific. Even if you're a college athlete, even if you're a high school athlete and you're like, I might play in college, I might not. I really want to be in sports. Like, you can take the initiative to like do things now that separates you from the non-athletes or the athletes that aren't doing anything and assume that they can get it. And even if you take that first step, most people don't. So I had like a 16-year-old kid reach out to me. Like, nice kid, wants to build AI tooling for sports agencies, which I think is like really interesting. How can you make the process of being a sports agent, helping people access like different NIL opportunities, more efficient? How can you build this community, this marketplace of opportunities, we'll say? And he wants to seek funding, and he's like, we're doing a pre-seed round. I'm like, you're 16. You don't need to do that. Don't owe anybody money. Just go out and do it. Go out and build the thing. Go do if you're lucky enough to do a paid trial, like a paid pilot, do a paid pilot, but build it for free and create opportunities and create leverage. Because if you do it for 4 years, if you even do it for 2 years, having the ability to like build something that somebody wants and that has a customer or multiple or several, or you're able to actually make money, then what's the point of going to college? Now, this is not a anti-college show. College has its merits, sure, but also there's opportunities for you to go to college later if you want to or whatever. But if you're 16 and you're like, I know what I want to do and I'm building my path to do that, just like JR said, there's a path from point A to point B. The path from point A to point B for me was when I got done playing, I said, wow, I have nothing left. Should I sue? I was fired while on workers' comp. I realized I couldn't because we legally couldn't. And that was the catalyst, was, I have to solve this problem. I need to build protection for minor league baseball players. Like, that was the thing that I needed to do. And I did it. And then I was 26 when I got done doing that. And then I was done. But I used those 4 years of building something, 22 to 26, qualifying for the Olympics, doing all these things, to say to the job that I was applying to, because I needed that foundation. I wasn't jumping into something else that I had built. I built a nonprofit. You could understand how not lucrative that was. And me as the person just needed the foundation. I was lucky enough to be able to leverage the fact that I built this. Me and an amazing team, like, built this organization, and it solved this problem, and that separated me from the competition that was being hired to work at this insurance company. It's not the sexiest thing in the world, but the thing that I needed to do, because I was 4 years behind everybody else, is I needed to build something. And the athletes have the same thing. And the 16-year-old kid, he is a smart kid doing the right things, reaching out to people who have built or are building things in sport for feedback. But does that feedback have the direction at all? Is it just, I'm talking to you? Or is it, I'm talking to you to help me solve this problem, help me think through this problem from your perspective? And can we stay in touch? And maybe I don't reach out for 6 years, but I have this contact, and I could reach out to that contact eventually, or keep that contact warm, because I might need it eventually, or I might need to ask a question, or that's what all of this is for. And so good on this 16-year-old kid for doing it. And maybe the doors open up for him where he's like, I can follow this passion, or I could build other things, or I could do other things, because the ability to do it has leveled up to now anybody can do anything. You and me have the same tools. Okay. How do we make sure that the thing that we built is the best that it can be? And can we go a step further and saying, does it actually work? JR and I can have the same technology to be able to build an app that solves this problem. But is he patient enough to learn how all of it can work to create something real? I'm not saying JR in particular, but everybody has access to these same tools. Can he create something that he can sell? Or is it just something that solves a particular problem that day? And the particular problem, if we can both solve the same problem with the same technology, what makes his thing better than my thing? And so the prevalence and use of AI is obviously something that we have to talk about, because part of our job is to say, well, what are the things happening in sports between the intersection of business, policy, politics, finances, but also for that individual athlete saying, I think I can solve this problem in this, and so can that athlete, and so can that person. What separates you is your ability to create something that actually solves a problem, and knowing how to ask the right questions to know if you're on the right track. And as you start to gain that momentum, are you able to have a community that supports you, that helps you find those holes? And are you able to understand in yourself, like, you are capable of learning the tools and the way that the tools are changing to improve the thing that you are doing? And so if you have an engineer, that takes away your need to know how to engineer. However, if you're a founder starting a company and you're like, I'm the voice, I know how to sell it, I know how to market it, I know the vision, I see it, and you don't know how your product works at all, that's separating you from the founder who's building something, who is non-technical, who can learn every single day how to build something. AI allows you to be more well-rounded, but everybody has the same tools. Same with finding a job in sports. JR is doing an amazing job helping athletes transition from playing the worst time in their life, they're done playing, they have no identity, into something that gives them that identity again. It's that gap, right? JR lives in this gap. He talks to athletes and thinks about it every single day, this gap, from when they're done playing to when they get a job. And he knows how to speak that language. And what I'm saying is, you can put in the work while you're playing to set yourself up for success after you're done, rather than just cutting a cold turkey and saying, I'm done, I need a job. It's what work can we consistently do? What network can we build? Why can you build it? You're in that window, that very small window that athletes only have for a short period of time. Not 17 years like Jay Jackson yesterday. Not 20 years like LeBron. Mine was 2 with the Mets and 3 with Team Israel qualifying for the Olympics. So 5, but mostly 2. 2. If you play 6 years in the minors with the Pirates, 6. You know what I'm saying? There's so much here. Right? This shows many things. This conversation that we're having is many things. What I ultimately want you to get out of it is there's an opportunity for you to solve problems and set yourself up for success. And we're going to continue to talk about that as we keep going. This show, we're going to have this part of the show be presented by MindReady. When I got done doing More Than Baseball, I was still hungry to build something, and MindReady was that thing that I wanted to solve. Organizations and teams and coaches and athletes are not prepared for the things that happen to them on the field, the mental health programming and coaching that they don't know what to do with. And yes, there might be a mental health practitioner, but one coach for 190, 250, 300 athletes at different organizations is not sufficient enough. So what MindReady does is it just makes sure that organizations have the things that they need to set them up for success as it pertains to like the mental health of the athletes and the preparation for this as an organization. And we have coaches that can help work with your coaches. We have coaches that can help work with your athletic department. It's a resource. And it's been a lot of fun to build because that's a problem I'm really passionate about. I'm passionate about all these problems. All of these companies you see on the bottom are companies that I've started to solve very particular problems. I'm very good at starting something. I'm very good at building an idea for something. You could look at the links to these in the show notes. I am not good at finding customers. I am good at once somebody is in the room, I can sell them on the idea. I can show them that the thing that they are doing is inefficient and I can solve their problems, etc., etc. What I am not good at is getting those people to see my website and say, I need that. I'm good at talking to people and saying, and poking through their conversation and saying, oh, you could use this. I can solve this problem for you. Getting people into the room with me, that's really hard. Why does Open Athletes exist? So that I can help athletes go from 0 to 1, build something, go from 2 to 100, get customers, make sure those customers have the best experience they possibly can. It's that 1 to 2. It's telling the world this is the thing that I'm solving for. This is why we're going to have mentors on. This is why we're going to hold our athletes that are building something accountable. You know, and I get to learn along the way about all that. So, you know, if I'm doing this for any reason, it's because like this is what interests me right now. I might do it forever. I fucking love it. I might do it for 10 years. I'm going to commit myself to doing it for at least 10 years. Talking to camera every single day for 10 years. I'm no longer nervous. I'm practicing public speaking. There could be 5 people out there listening, or 10, or 100, or 1,000. I have no idea. I cannot see. But I know that I get to practice this conversation every single day. All right. Lots of fun stuff today. A data story dressed up as a fan pride story. Nielsen rolled out its first ever local NFL fandom index, ranking every market by how much fans actually care, not how big the city is. The index scores each market on 8 metrics: apparel, attendance, streaming, betting, intent, and more. Buffalo, Kansas City, and Green Bay topped the list. New York and Los Angeles landed dead last, despite each fielding 2 teams. The 2 biggest markets, 4 teams, bottom for avidity. Buffalo, a fraction of the size on top. Measurement is money. Rates used to follow population. Nielsen is repricing around intensity. Very smart. They should have done it a long time ago. Same trap for you, an athlete that we're just talking about. Reach is not intensity. Impressions is fine, but it is not commitment. 1 million followers who scroll past you is worth less than the 10,000 who buy what you make. 1,000 true fans is the moniker. Can you build something with 1,000 true fans? Do the math on 1,000. my economics for this are a little bit different, right? Like, we want advertising with 1,000 true fans is a little bit different, right? But the thing that you're building, if you had 1,000 customers at X amount per month or X projects total cost, what is the total bottom line going to be for you? What is the intensity in which you're solving problems for these people? Buffalo does an amazing job in allowing for that intensity of their fan base, Green Bay, etc. New York, Los Angeles, LA are like a little bit more, how do I say, not as intense as Buffalo. You know what I mean? Lakikli. Nielsen unveils local NFL fan index. Ranking fan avidity. That is the word I was looking for. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. I want the ranking. Because I want to see what the Arizona Cardinals are. For being honest. Ah, here we go. This is fantastic. Okay, can I zoom in? Nielsen's local NFL fan index. We got to learn a little bit more about how they're rating it, but I think we can understand like the passion and maybe the commitment. And I think obviously that's a financial commitment, but it's also a time commitment too. And you know, Buffalo is Buffalo. Kansas City, Green Bay, Cincinnati, Philadelphia. Surprise, Cincinnati is there. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Detroit, New Orleans, Cleveland, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Denver, Jacksonville, Seattle, Tacoma. I mean, the cities outside of it. Nashville, Charlotte, Indianapolis, Houston. I haven't read Phoenix yet. Boston, Washington, D.C., Las Vegas, Atlanta, Phoenix, Tampa, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Los Angeles, and New York. I live in Phoenix. I am from Phoenix. I have seen the Cardinals go from playing at Sun Devil Stadium to where they're at now in Glendale. And the people who go to games are going to support the opposing team. The Arizona Cardinals are, if anybody can be a mid-market NFL franchise, they are. And I understand completely why this, I don't understand the point system here. You know, it hasn't been totally clear in my research and understanding of it. Digital behaviors, they say, as a media hub, you know, a regional story, merchandise, spend, passion. Like, yeah, I'm actually surprised Arizona and Phoenix is not 29 or 30. But look at the types of cities that we have, 1 through 10. Buffalo, Kansas City, Green Bay. Midwest, Buffalo is east. You go to Buffalo and you're like, wow, this is just a Midwest town. It's north of Detroit or something like that. It's not New York, you know? It's not the city. It's a town that lives and dies by like its sports team. Maybe that's the ranking in itself. Buffalo, Kansas City, Green Bay, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. Passionate fans that live and die by their football team. Baltimore, Detroit, New Orleans, Cleveland. Have we seen any West Coast teams so far? We haven't. Minneapolis, Denver. People love the Broncos in Denver, sure. Seattle is our first one at 14. Those are the 12s, too. I'm surprised Jacksonville's up there, but they have a passionate fan base. So, what does this tell me? It tells me that when you think about, you know, big market, small markets, it doesn't matter. What is the passion that these fans bring to the organization? What is the fire that they're able to light under the organization? Does the organization commit to building something lasting for fans, or is it just something to make money? And I'm a Jets fan, which just sucks for me. So I've seen a lot of it. And I'm born and raised in Phoenix. And I've seen the Cardinals be good twice. Good. With Kurt Warner. I was in the 8th grade when they were in the Super Bowl. Maybe they would be moving up if the Cardinals won more. Well, the Cardinals had Kyler and they made the play. We knew that it wasn't going to be the point. I'll drink this water now. We knew that it wasn't just about that. So, we talk about media a lot here because it's part of the ecosystem, and I think we have to. And I love that we get to, because I love media theory. It's so much fun. Small but telling, Central Missouri announced what's believed to be the first jersey patch sponsorship in all of Division 2. Division 2, Shelter Insurance. One problem. D2 isn't technically allowed to have jersey patches yet, but they're doing it anyway. Why? Because nobody's enforcing any of the rules. UCM's 5-year shelter insurance deal is worth 6 figures a year across every varsity uniform. That's in line with the bottom of the Division I market. The NCAA's D1 cabinet approved commercial patches in January. That vote only applied to Division I. Division II membership hasn't finalized its own rule. They looked at a rule that hadn't been written for them and said, we're doing it anyway. We'll let the rule book catch up. Good for them. I would do the same exact thing. They're not going to punish you. Do whatever the you want. If they're not going to enforce anything, do whatever you want. If you have an opportunity to make a little revenue by having a sponsor on your jersey and the rule hasn't even been written for you yet, what's stopping you and what's enforcing you not doing it? Now, break the laws and break the rules. Don't do that. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the gray area of, well, everybody else is doing it. Does it make it right? No. Does it make it wrong? Also no. That's what I think. My opinion. I'm sticking to it. Sometimes the market is ahead of the rule book and first movers own the category when the rule arrives. UNLV moved before the official D1 voted too. Sometimes the market is ahead of the rule book and permission is the last thing to arrive. Bold move or an NCAA headache? Bold move, certainly. Certainly. They're doing something that no other school has done, and nothing has been written for them that says they can or can't. A rule hasn't been decided, and they're pushing the envelope in a way I think that they should to say, well, everybody else can. What's stopping us from? One problem, D2 can't have jersey patches yet. UCM operates more like a D1 program than the median D2 school, and it's trying to get in the patch game early. Good morning, and thanks for... Oh, okay, cool. I want to learn more about that. So it shouldn't be. Well, we're going to link all these articles. Don't worry. Schools far outside the FBS power structure, like UIC, George Washington, Southern Illinois, Edwardsville, and Southern Indiana, have all announced jersey patch deals too. Shouldn't be that surprising that Division II schools would get on the act. This morning, the University of Central Missouri announced a jersey patch sponsorship deal with Shelter Insurance, believed to be the first jersey patch sponsorship agreement with Division II. Industry sources tell Extra Points that the 5-year contracts are worth 6 figures annually and that will mark on the uniform every varsity. Yeah. We've talked about this before. We talked about Chase and Ohio State. Now Central Missouri gets Shelter Insurance. So all of that sounds great for Central Missouri and others. D2 schools aren't technically allowed to have jersey patches, at least not yet. At least not yet. That's what's interesting. That's the thing to consider. That is the kicker. At least not yet. Back in January, the NCAA Division I cabinet approved a proposal that allows schools to sell commercial patches on uniforms. The proposal didn't drop out of thin air. Schools, the NCAA, multimedia rights holders, and athletic apparel companies have been discussing the possibility for months ahead of the announcement. In fact, UNLV announced this partnership in December before the official announcement. But that January vote only applied to D1 institutions. Membership at the D2 level wasn't entirely certain where it wanted to go yet. Jersey patch tracker. Oh, this is fun. School, sponsor, partner. The holder of that relationship. Learfield, Van Wagner, Playfly. Okay? Arkansas, Tyson Foods. All sports multi-year. Louisiana Monroe, Samaritan's Purse, football. LSU, Woodside Energy. Memphis, FedEx, obviously. Nebraska Omaha, men's basketball, MCL Construction, hockey control services. Anything stands out? USF, Tampa General Hospital, Wisconsin, UW Health, Wisconsin, men's hockey, football, men's basketball, Culver's. We love Culver's. Air Force, USAA. These are making sense, right? George Washington, Vanda Pharmaceuticals. Sometimes they're regional. USAA is spending money to do all sports for Army. Yeah. Makes sense. Ohio State, we talked about Chase. Temple, Granola, maybe regional. Fresno State, we've talked about them. The Wonderful Company, Pistachios. Sam Houston State, Snapback Sports. Central Missouri, Shelter Insurance. Sacred Heart, Women's Soccer. Shekiku's Farm, Sacred Heart, Silverman's Farm. Fascinating. We will keep tabs on this article for sure. Much of today's conversation has been about controlling your legacy, controlling the thing that you do and build, controlling who you are. Control and ownership can be the same thing, can be different things. On one thread, runs through everything we've talked about today with JR, today in what the Lakers are going through with the control and ownership stake that the Buss family has and is relinquishing. Jeannie Buss owns 17.8% of the most valuable team in America, one of them. It might still lose power. Because a trust her father wrote decades ago decides who controls the chair of the Los Angeles Lakers. She read the offer. She might not have read. She read the trust. But what is she trying to do to retain power in an organization that maybe she didn't want to sell to Bob Iger, Joshua Kushner, or whatever? But she didn't have a choice, right? Because she sold it to Walter last year. Kawhi, if the reporting holds, didn't get in trouble for getting paid. He got in trouble for the shape of the deal. The money wasn't the problem. The paperwork was. 5 Mountain West schools found out the exit clause holds back tens of millions of dollars. School, nobody reads the exit clause. Number 1, know your contract. Number 2, maybe they're like, we could eat it. It's fine. Central Missouri understood the rule book and got ahead of it. What we talked about with JR was athletes can control and own the steps that they take to separate themselves from others in the marketplace. He said companies aren't hiring 15 anymore, they're hiring 5. He said companies are looking for how you attribute the thing that you did as an athlete to the ways that you can solve your problems quickly and efficiently now. Would we vote more than baseball fighting for guys making $3,000 a year? Everyone who agreed was like, yeah, good job. Goodwill. And goodwill in a negotiation is worth nothing. Goodwill was not a contract. What moved the needle was getting into the room with the numbers that we had to change the structure of how things were done. We were fully committed to the thing that we wanted to solve for. The problem we wanted to solve for was ensuring that minor league baseball players organized federally, represented by a union under the law. That was the goal. Is that how we sold it to the world? No. We changed the perspective of that, a framework. But a framework is not a feeling. So you are an athlete and you're surrounded by people who will sell you the headline and skip the fine print. But the fine print is where they keep all of the leverage. So why am I bringing this up? You are able to, as an athlete, take the necessary steps to do what is required of you to position yourself in the marketplace of businesses and ideas and selling yourself against the competition. You're going to get in the room because you are a professional baseball player with the New York Yankees. But can you stay in the room? Your small print, your fine print, your leverage is if you understand how you can network and how you can leverage the relationships that you can build with the window that you have. Because the reach that you have is not the intensity in which someone can commit to you. JR was fortunate enough to know the CEO of a company that could hire him. Not all of us have that luxury. JR knew how to get in the room, however he made that relationship, knew how to get in the room, knew how to stay in the room, and knew how to get hired because of the type of person that he is and was at the time. What relationships can you build? What leverage can you build? What 1,000 true fans can you build? Making goodwill promises is not a contract. An offer is not an exit clause. The headline is how can you structure the thing that you do as truth and the thing that you do as leverage to position yourself different from somebody else or another business doing the same thing? That's why that's why competition's good in a marketplace. Competition is a good thing. Monopoly is not a good thing. Monopoly limits competition. Oligopoly limits competition. I want the ability to choose. I want companies to compete to get my business. I don't want to be forced to go to that cable network, that cable company. Because I live in one area, I shouldn't have to just do one company. I should have competition. Cable and energy are, different, but part of what we're talking about. So what differentiates the thing that you're doing? And who you are. Because you as an athlete, there's a ton of athletes. You as an athlete building a company, there's a ton of those. You as an athlete finding a job, there's a ton of those. But when I meet you, I want to be wowed by you. And when somebody meets you or somebody meets your company, I want them to be wowed. And so the conversations we had today, be Buffalo, be intense, be focused on the thing that you are building for your community. Or you'll end up being the Arizona Cardinals and not. And surprisingly, 25th on the list and not 30th. The Cardinals are not doing enough for their community to bring out that passion. Maybe there's nothing they can do, but I don't think that's true. There's more that they can do. Buffalo is winning that race. Passionate fan bases are winning that race. Can you create a passionate fan base? What is that thing that is going to separate you? Don't follow your passion. Follow what you're good at. And you might be very good at the thing you're passionate about. Or you might find passion in the thing that you're very good at. Much of what we talk about, much of what we always will talk about is how to leverage yourself in the small window that you have. And if you didn't leverage yourself in the small window that you have, how can you leverage yourself to find opportunities for whatever it might be if you're able to recreate that window? Say you played for the Milwaukee Brewers for 10 years. Didn't do anything with it. You made a couple $1 million, but you want a job. You want to feel confident in the thing that you are doing again. You want to get out of the house. Going around and saying, hey, I used to play 10 years with the Brewers. I'd love an interview. They're going to see someone who's 34 years old with nothing to show on his resume, and you're not set up in a position to do those things at companies you might want to work at. It's not what you know, it's who you know, but it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So build your network now. Because that conversation can lead to another conversation, and you never know what can happen from that. Connect with JR. Put JR in your network. Put me in your network. You might reach out to me. Hey, I have a question. Here's what I want to do. Do you know anybody you can introduce me to? I don't need anything from you. You don't need anything from me. But when you're in a position to say, oh, I could use the network, all it takes is one, and then another, and then another, and then you've built this community of people just in your Rolodex that you can ask for advice or questions or thoughts. And the best people that you come across will help you think through that problem that you are facing. Why does Open Athletes exist? Because I want you to help build that network with each other. People focused on building business, athletes focused on building businesses during and after their career. Can we invest back in those businesses? Well, yes, with Athletes Fund. Can we bring you under the umbrella of all of these things that we're doing? Yes. Does one of you want to work at one of these companies or even run one of these companies? They're built. They're ready for you. There's so much here and you have so much value as an athlete. Don't waste it. And if you did waste it, like I did, put yourself in a position to find that passion, find that energy for the thing that you want to do again. That's what it's for. So that was August 19th, 2026. I am Jeremy Wolf, former MLB draft pick. This was Open Athletes. and I will see you tomorrow.